Banks.
I'm Josh.
Odd places going. Take it, Josh.
I roll. Up and away, baby.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Who do you blame?
Who do I blame? Me. I blame me.
It was supposed to be funny. What, for everything?
Wow. Whoa. Okay. All right. I blame every one of my thoughts. I don't blame. You're right. I guess blame is not the term I want to use. I take responsibility for all of my thoughts, toxic or not.
No, but what about other things, like even outside your mind? Things that are happening in this world right now. There's a lot of strife going on, a lot of stuff happening. Do you take blame for anything beyond just you?
I am a piece of this puzzle of life, of this community, of me, my Airbnbers, me, Lake County, me in Florida, me, Orlando life, me, United States, me, a world. And blame,
solar system, universe. Yeah, keep going.
Blame, I don't look at it as blame. I take it as I'm taking responsibility for it. Okay? You alluded to the fact of strife in the world, strife in our country, strife in Florida, strife because of a pandemic.
Yeah. But what is responsibility other than self-blame?
I think blame has a negative connotation to it. I think responsibility.
It does.
Okay.
I don't think it should, by the way. I don't think it should.
Right.
I think it's okay to blame ourselves. I blame myself for everything. Everything that's important to me or someone around me, everything. The riots going on right now, all the strife, my fault.
Okay. So, if you take blame for it, I take responsibility for it.
Okay.
You take blame for it, what do you do about it? Because blame and responsibility are intangibles. Okay, I take responsibility for it. So what am I going to do? What are you going to do?
Blame for me is empowering. So if I take responsibility for some of the bad stuff going on today, that means now I can do something different than what I did. Because apparently I didn't do something right? Does it make sense? If something bad's happening, I must not have done something right or well enough, or I must not have been active enough. There's something I didn't do that I probably could have. And now I can change that. Now I can make a difference moving forward.
Yes.
I'm taking the blame, man. I'm taking all the blame.
Okay.
People getting killed on the streets right now, my fault.
Okay. And you said something active. You said active.
Yeah, active.
Yeah. So you didn't do something that was active. So I'm gonna stretch that a little bit. Are you an activist in this? And if you are, what is that?
I think, well, okay. Could an activist not be someone in the process? Someone that's actually, what's the opposite of activist? Passivist, right? Just not doing anything. So I'd be careful going to extremes.
Okay.
I understand what you mean. Activist, I think, might be an extreme version of the other side of pacifist, but there's a whole gray area in the middle.
Okay.
So maybe I wasn't active enough.
Okay. So what are you doing now that you've taken all the blame for what's going on in the world, in the country? I mean, whatever.
Oh, okay. As an example, I just talked with a friend last week. We're going to start like a Vote for Your Life tour, where we're going to rent a couple of buses and we're going to help people get to the polls. Anyone who wants to go to the polls or needs to, that can't, we're gonna help them. I'm getting more active this time than I was last time, just as an example.
Okay. So you used active again. You used active. Now, why do you shy away from being labeled an activist?
I don't necessarily. It's such a politically hot word.
Okay.
And it automatically puts a predetermined thing in people's heads, and I don't know if I necessarily identify with whatever someone thinks about when they say that. So I don't like labels. I just, plain and simple, I don't like labels at all.
Got it. Got it. And it's like I'm a D, I'm a R, and all of a sudden, boom.
And if someone calls me an activist, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Anyone can label me anything they want. I'm just not going to self-label.
Okay. All right. So how do you explain that? Oh, I guess you just did. I'm going to help. A friend of mine are going to go out, get buses, get people to the polls, or encourage them to vote. Um, and that is what your
Yes.
activity is. You know?
Yes.
That's my activity.
Maybe I'm an activityist. Maybe we can change it a little bit.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I'm a wordsmith. I can come up with some different words.
So I want to explore this blame a little more.
Yes.
How does that make you feel when you blame yourself for everything? You say it.
For a second, I feel bad. For a second, I feel a little ashamed. And then after that, I feel empowered.
So you are taking responsibility for the world, the universe, everything. You are taking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything.
So, I mean, I take responsibility. And you and I kind of look the same at this. How do you and I encourage others to take responsibility for their own actions, others' actions, in a bigger scheme?
That's a big question, dude.
Yeah.
Well, again, it goes back to people are inherently more or less selfish. I mean, we do really care about ourselves a lot more than most others. And it's showing people the impact that their actions have on, or the environment has on them. If we can bring it home to people, this is, yeah, okay, there's a lot of hate going on right now, but it's not your race being hated, but it could be. It's called empathy. It's called, what if it was yours? Would you want other people fighting for you and with you? So it's one of those where it's just, we got to get back to being a world citizen and not boundaries.
Let's explore that a little bit. Do you think that what is happening with these riots is a manifestation, and we might have to define it, a manifestation of us being quarantined and socially distanced, or is this a manifestation of the last, 10 years of Black lives being killed due to injustices in our criminal system?
I would say probably the last 250 or 315 years. Yeah.
Right.
But yes. Yeah. No, I do think it's a lot of that. And I think when we start putting boundaries, we start making these groups, because we're always responsible for ourselves. We really are. If we're not responsible for another group, it's just because we see them as different. We see them as, well, they're not us. And it becomes us versus them. And then we don't care about them so much. We care more about us. But if we realize we're all us, there's no people unlike us. It's just us.
Right.
I think there would be a lot more responsibility and a lot more people giving a crap.
Right. Okay. So there is an empowerment with taking responsibility. There is an empowerment for taking the blame. And by when you take that, okay, now I take responsibility for my sons, having them grow up. I got 18 years, I'm with them. I've got to make sure they make it. I'm trying to instill upon them some of my values. At 18, they are on their own. Now, I take responsibility for them as in the community, okay? Whatever they do, if they get put in jail, I take responsibility for that. However, that is they've made those choices, and the looters have made those choices. Now, I still take responsibility as a member of the community, as a member of the state, whatever I am, the community, the nation, the world. Take responsibility of like, hey, I want to do more to make them feel like they're a part of. I don't want to push them away. How do I bring them together? How do I empower people by bringing them together? Because I think that's what we power.
But let me challenge you on something, because you said it's their choice if they get into an altercation, go to jail, whatever. If they grow up only eating vanilla ice cream, and because of that, they just hate chocolate. They want nothing to do with chocolate. Is that their choice? Do they choose to like vanilla ice cream if that's their only choice growing up? Just as an example, a weird example.
All right. You're talking about education is what you're talking about. are they
I'm
exposed?
talking about conditioning, education, conditioning.
Okay.
Yes,
Um,
it's a tough one. I agree. It's a tough.
I know it comes down to at some point we human race come to a point where we have to take responsibility for all of us, okay? And how the village grows the child, the village nurtures, and and by doing that, it does. It has to begin with taking responsibility or blame, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Banks.
I am Joshua.
Odd places going.
Viral, viral and viral. Yes.